We're not okay. We just heard these words, so lovingly and beautifully sung by Brandon. The words, I know I cannot be the only one who's holding on for dear life, but God knows, I know, when it's all said and done, I'm not okay, but it's all going to be all right. We're not okay, but it's all going to be all right. It's going to take a lot of faith and hard work. However, if we can hang on for dear life and realize that everyone is struggling around the entire world, even our planet is struggling, we aren't the only ones. And then we can embrace our fragility and we can come together to move forward and heal as the collective humanity we are sharing this planet together. Recognizing that life is a delicate balancing act where we are the interlocking pieces, integral for ultimate harmony and peace. We have one world, one life to live right now, and one singular purpose: to be co-creators with the divine and put the fractured vessels back together. The fragments of ourselves, the fragments of our wrongdoings, the moments gone by when maybe we should have said more, or maybe done things differently. Moments that we cannot get back when we have wronged another, intentionally or unintentionally. Moments when we maybe should have surrendered, but instead we just couldn't let go. Let go of our pride, let go of our ego, let go of our stubbornness, or let go of what we believe is the truth that the other person isn't seeing. Moments when we should have thought about the bigger picture and the fallout that is possible when the stars don't align and people are at odds with each other. This is what we are facing. There will be no peace in the Middle East or anywhere for that matter, not even in our own country, and especially not in our own souls, if we don't acknowledge that we are not okay. It's okay to admit it. I want to hear you say it. We are not okay. One more time. We are not okay. Now I want to hear you say, but it's all going to be all right. But it's all going to be all right. We need to face that living in denial creates a delusional reality that cannot coexist with truth. So when we're in denial and we think it's this way, this way, this way, and then you got other people up in our face saying, no, it's this way, this way, this way. Just like an accident, when different people see it, they have their own truth. It's a balancing act. We've got to figure out what is the true way to go forward. And how do we figure out if it's the true way to go forward? By looking back and recognizing that we have to do things proactively. We are 15 years old. We needed to have a party at our bar and bat mitzvah, but we didn't do that, so COVID happened. So we need to put that on hold and maybe have a big blowout gala party next year and celebrate that, or maybe our Sweet 16. But the reality is that we have to look at everything that's going on and say, if we keep doing what we're doing, are we going to be okay? And if we acknowledge that if we keep doing what we're doing, that we're not going to be okay, then what can we do differently? So if you just take the palette, the tapestry of all the different people that you have heard come up here, not just me, all the different people, and then you're going to have your Torah readers and everyone that struggled to learn that portion and does their best, and everybody who orchestrated the Kol Nidre and the cellist, everyone worked so hard to make it be good. But if we look at it, what we did the last 15 years, from 2010 to 2024 going into 25, think about it. What's 25 plus 15? 2040. Are we going to continue to do it the way we did it in 2010 or 15 or 24? It isn't just the temple. The temple is a little microcosm of what's happening in the world. And we get hit the hardest because we are the light and we are Emet. We are the truth. And every faith organization in the world is struggling right now. Why? It isn't just that COVID happened and people stopped coming and people are worried about their money and people are living longer. It's not that. It's because the darkness attracts and attaches to the light and tries to snuff it out. And that is why we're burning the candles, because we will not let it get us. We will not let it take us down, because we're going to be okay, and it's going to be all right. So we cannot live with rose-colored glasses pretending that everything's going to take care of itself without doing anything about it. We are meant to be proactive. This is why God gave us free will, much to God's dismay at times. We are meant to be proactive and not passive. Non-action is as much of a choice as action. I always smile to myself. I don't say anything. I'm going to put the toothpaste out and then I'll get in trouble later. But whenever we have board meetings and people abstain, have you ever been on any board anywhere and you abstain? An abstention is really a no. It may not be a yes. If it's split 3-3 and someone abstained, or let's say it then switches 3-4 and the fours were doing maybe the wrong thing, that might not be the best thing at the moment, and then someone abstained and those 3 rights are not the majority, then what? We end up doing the wrong thing. So that's going to happen in our country as well. Everyone has to vote. And people in the cyberspace world, you're out there, you're a part of this. Everyone has to make their voice be heard and make their mark. Non-action, that's the choice. It's as much a choice as acting. So by doing nothing when you really should, how many times have you been in a situation where you thought, well, maybe I should have done that, but I didn't do it at the moment. Maybe I didn't move quickly enough, or maybe I just didn't want to get involved at that moment. It is a cascade of negativity that can spiral out of control, and the end result can only be chaos, which then leads to ultimate destruction and ruin. In a few weeks, we will have Shabbat Noach, where humanity and our world and everything in it was completely obliterated and destroyed. A few tiny individuals and pairs of animals were designated to rebuild. They were considered the most righteous, and then even erred later on. Noah did a few things later on. But righteousness takes work. We all come in righteous. But it's something we go to bed at night. If we say the Shema, we're asking God to, be with us till the next morning. And then we wake up. It's a new day. It's a fresh start. And it's another opportunity to be righteous. But be aware, moment to moment, when you're not. And that is how our world is going to change. So at the time of Noah, there was hope and promise, and there can be again. At a time when everything seemed beyond saving, like now, history repeats itself. We can be okay. Today is our Day of Atonement. Are we going to make the most of it? You are, you're here. You are, you're there. People who watch online, I'm just amazed who watches online after the fact even. Are we going to be honest with ourselves as a people, as a community, as a global humanity? Or are we going to lie to ourselves? And maybe that tape that we're hearing in our head, it isn't even a lie. It's just that we've said it so much that we believe it and it becomes our truth. Does anybody know anyone where you have those conversations? Or have you done it yourself? Where you say it so much it becomes a reality? Because our words, God spoke and the world came into being. Our words manifest and create our reality, make no mistake. So are we going to lie to ourselves or others, perpetuating destruction, maybe because it's comfortable, rather than the bountiful destiny that was promised to us by God? And that takes risk. It takes getting out of that box of darkness, and it takes having faith. And whether or not, like I say, if you don't believe in God, have faith in yourself, have faith in your fellow man and woman, have faith that everything's going to be all right, because you're going to do the work to make it right. We have been given all the tools to co-create greatness, harmony, and happiness. We are the ones who get in our own way. And that's going to happen because guess what? That's how we're going to learn our lessons. We always have free will and the power to make a different choice. And in a moment, it is a moment, and we don't know what's going to happen. I was driving as a messenger trying to be an actress, and I reveal everything up here. I am an open book. And my whole life could have been over in a moment. Do you remember Crossroads of the World on Sunset, right in front of the famous Amos cookie place? If you've ever been there, it's a big, crazy intersection. I'm waiting at a red light. I'm in the crosswalk. I'm out in front of the crosswalk where I'm supposed to be, for once, not in over the limit line or whatever. And I'm waiting for the light to turn, and the light turns green, and I just start to go. And there was a dry cleaner at the Crossroads of the World, and this man ran out to cross the street in the crosswalk holding his dry cleaning. He didn't see me, and I hit him. And I will forever see his eyes looking at me in the windshield on the top of my brand new Peugeot, which probably saved both of us. But it was horrifying. And I think I was like 23. And I thought, this is it. My whole life is over. My whole life is over. And guess what? We're all here. What did it do, though? Eventually, it turned me to God, find out the answers to the crazy. But the reality is, he was okay. He got a nice new nose. And my insurance company paid for it. And he was okay with it all. But I was not okay for a very, very long time. And, it's how many years later, 40 plus years later, and it still can plague me. When I see someone, I'm constantly looking. When someone darts out from the side, or someone has kids, or now our cars, they just go crazy. Beep, 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 beep. And I'm backing up, and I'm like, oh, my steering wheel's vibrating, and I'm having a heart attack. And I'm like, where are they? Where are they? And they're like way down the aisle, but my car is flipping out. But moments can change your life, and you carry them with you forever. So choose our moments carefully. The only way to be truly okay is to walk in the light of Torah. So Baruch Hashem, that guy was okay. I'm okay, so I can be here with you now. But we must follow the commands of God. And even though it wasn't my fault, a car against a pedestrian, it's always your fault. So we've spent the last 4 holy days searching, finding, reaching for, and now, today, our highest and most holy of days, activating God. We are the ones who have the power to choose God, to choose faith, to choose good over evil, to choose at least to enhance the divine within us, our highest and best self, so that we can then activate and summon God's divine grace. Now, some people think grace is a Christian thing, but actually, it's not. Actually, our God, Adonai, it's all in there. It's written all over the place. And what we're doing, we're asking God to be compassionate, have mercy and grace upon us, and write us and seal us in the book. Grace. The Birkat Kohanim, when we ask that God's countenance shine upon us, grace. So, God, or the divine, transcends all, and that fuels each and every one of us with a faith that is possible, that is brilliant and unimaginable. When people see me up here, they're like, how are you doing it? What? God. I always say it's God. I may be exhausted out there. I come up here, and it's not a performance. I did have theatrical training where you leave all your troubles in the wings and you come out. It's not that helped. But I get up here, and I'm empowered by God. And you will see, especially on Yom Kippur Day, it starts at one level, and it builds and builds and builds and builds. Like, it's God, okay? Why? To be able to serve you and to be the messenger of the light. Some people resist. They don't get it. And some people question, and we are not to judge another person's choice of faith to follow. But we do have to realize that we are all on the receiving end of all of our choices. And the one common denominator around the world, or even in political parties, is that we are all human. And as I said last night, we all bleed red. Maybe when the aliens come along, we might be purple, but right now we all bleed red. And we're all the same. So these truths are scattered out in a way that each individual can hear. So there are many master teachers, and their voices are heard Some of them are very divine and good, and some of them, that darkness is going to try to take down the light. But it's a voice that people hear, that they relate to as their particular truth. And we have to rise above it, especially when it's hurting us. That's when it's most important, even in the most simple of moments. When we erred in biblical times, we were scattered amongst the lands with the inability to understand each other, speaking in those different tongues. And why did God do that? So that we would have to find our way back to one another in the Hashivenu. Return us to where we were, who we are. Find our way to one another and a peaceful, productive coexistence by walking different roads, yet experiencing similar trials, similar successes, and yes, even similar defeats and loss. All humanity must call upon the divinity within and around to actualize the promise inherent in our free will to be able to make a difference and to be able to enhance our mission individually and collectively. We can repair ourselves. We can repair our world. We are all going to be okay. It's all going to be all right. And our Judaic system is designed just for that. We have the rules, we have the guidebook, and we even have ancestors that did horrible, terrible things. And we have God to guide us. We just have to search, find, reach for, and be willing to follow something greater than just ourselves. Me. To get beyond our earthly limitations and reach instead for God's ultimate design. In a few moments, we're going to hear words from another song, I Will Follow, and that is what Luke is going to sing. Wherever you go, think of Naomi and Ruth. Wherever you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I will move. Think of the clouds and the fire in the desert and our wanderings. I will follow. All your ways are good. All your ways are sure. I will trust in you alone. Sometimes there's a voice in our head, and it is not the one we should be listening to. You ever experienced that? Especially when it's the one that berates our own selves and tells us that we're not good enough. Or no, we shouldn't try to do that. That is that little negative force, okay? So we have to trust that high above our lives, there is a force that we can follow, that is a light within us that can help us be our light unto the world as has been prophesied by bringing the light into our lives. You're the one we seek, even if it's just inside our own selves, knowing that we will find everything we need in God alone and fill ourselves up, and then we can do more and be more. If this life I lose, Luke will be singing it, I will follow you. And that's what we honor today in Yizkor. In you there is life everlasting. In you there is freedom for all of our souls. And in you there is joy, unending joy. When my mother was going into the oven to be cremated, I've told you the story. She wanted me in the room, opened up the casket, looked at her, and what was in her eye? It was open to show me joy, everlasting life and joy, unending joy. She wanted me to see that. And we must follow. When it's our time to go, we fight to stay, but when it's time, we will follow. Today we remember and honor those loved ones who have passed, as we acknowledge and accept the fragility of our own existence. None of us know if we're going to be here next year. It doesn't matter how old we are. When you look at our Yizkor book, at the people that have died in the last 15 years, there's over 39 people that have died. A lot of them were very young. It wasn't our 80 and 90-year-olds, not all of them. So we don't know. Today we plead to not only be written but sealed for goodness and blessing as the gates close and the book of our lives is set for the coming year. Who will live? Who will die? Who will be humbled? Who will be exalted? Who will be hungry? Who will perish by fire, by flood, by earthquake, or disasters of our own design? Illicit words, action, war, or our inability to accept what is, see it, and take the risk to move forward with the harmony and the grace that God demands of us. And it is not easy to get out of our own way. Has anyone here ever felt that? It isn't easy, but it is something that God demands. Grace is not only something that can be given. It is a state of mind. It is a consciousness. And without it, there can only be turmoil and disaster and despair. Not just for our world, even inside our own spirit. Now, we still have time. We have Sukkot and Simchat Torah when we're going to celebrate all that never-ending, unending joy in this room. And we flip the script from all of this to that, and we go forward and we wind that Torah back to the beginning and we start over again. That's why we still have some chances, okay? We still have that moment to rewrite our personal, our collective, and our global script. We began these holy days by celebrating the birthday of the world. Someone asked me, why is it so out of order? Shouldn't we have Yom Kippur and then celebrate the birthday of the world? That isn't how it works in life. We are born, we live, we die, and then we are renewed and celebrate Sukkot and Simchat Torah and eat pie and cake and ice cream and go forward. It's a cycle. And in order to be born into this world, we have to learn our lessons along the way to give rebirth to ourselves. My mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law, used to say marriage licenses need to be renewed like car licenses every 11 to 15 years. Because every 11 to 15 years, there's some kind of crisis. So we're in our 15th year. But, that's why, things happen and you got to renew. You got to have that consciousness. She had 3 divorces. She said, if my license had to be renewed, it might have been different. Why? People step up to the plate because they have an actual moment when they see their license to love might be taken away. And sometimes that's when we get it. And right now, our humanity is going to lose its license to love amidst the madness because the crazy is taking us over. Not here. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep our faith alive. We began these holy days, and we're going to continue through our Yamim Noraim in the hopes that we will celebrate and rebuild and renew and refresh and go forward with Dor Vador from generation to generation. Celebrating all that is possible. Our ancestors endured great hardship and sacrifice for us to be here today. Thousands and thousands of years later, all over the world, Jews are doing what we're doing right now, and their non-Jewish partners are supporting the faith, and their friends, all of us hoping for renewal and redemption. So now what are we going to do with the time that we have left? What are we going to do with the time that we have left on Yom Kippur, the time that we have left before Sukkot and Simchat Torah? If we're granted, lucky enough for the year, the time that we have left in yet another year, what are we going to do with it? It is a gift, and it is not something to be taken for granted. And we have a lot of 80 and 90-year-olds. They know this. And I think to myself, I knew these people when I was just 40-ish. No, 50-ish. Oh, see, I want to take 10 years off. No, 45-ish. I don't want to do that. Okay, almost 20 years ago. Okay, so when I was 45, they were 65. Now I'm going to be 65, and how old are they? 85. But none of us feel, any of us feel 85? And I know I have some 85 and 90-year-olds that are moving around a lot better than me. So we don't know. We just have to keep showing up and doing our best, no matter what. So what are we going to do with the time that we have left? And my son pointed this out to me a couple weeks ago. Do we have fewer days ahead of us than behind us? And he's like, Mom, I'm sorry. I got to get this together because you have less days ahead. And I said, but we don't know anything. You might have less days ahead. Every day matters and the choices that we make. It's not easy being my kid, let me tell you, or even my community. So, who will we be? How will we share the best of ourselves? And what is the legacy that we're going to leave? Julianne, Quinn, Raya, everybody. Our beloved Marianne Sasha's having a baby. She's going to have a baby. I'm telling Marianne, even though we love you, go to Yerushalayim, enjoy that baby. Why? Because my daughter's having a baby after 5 miscarriages. On my birthday, Harriet and I, the due date is December 1st, but I'm here. So I'll go for a couple of weeks. If you can go, go. I'll go, and then I'll come back, and the rest of you are going to have to figure out what this service is going to look like. If I'll try to squeeze it in between the Shabbatot, which I try to do, but I'm not in charge of birthing babies. That's up to God. But it's a boy, so we know there will be a breast, so I got to at least be there for 8 more days. But we don't know what's going to happen, and that's the wonder of it all, as bad as it could be. Even if we're feeling terrible, oh, guess what? We're going to hopefully wake up tomorrow, and it's going to be a new day. What magical mystery thing might happen to me today? And if it's another really lousy, horrible day, guess what? God, please give me the gift of tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and the next. What mercy will be divined for us as we go forward? Are our intentions pure? We've got to look at that. We might think they are, but we don't know. Are we closed-hearted, closed-fisted? Or, as God had to circumcise Pharaoh's heart to let us, the people, go, are we going to circumcise our heart and our stubbornness and then become open-handed so that we can receive the light, propagate the light, and be the credit to those who have come before? If so, we will continue to be. If we can open up, and if we can't, we will continue to lose our way until we are so lost that the darkness will consume us. Big changes are ahead for all of us. Our world, our country, our faith, our temple community, and each and every one of us personally, we're all affected by the fallout. We are, in a way, it is a blessing and a curse. We are standing on the precipice of a cataclysmic shift, one way or the other. Even in World War I, II, or III, this is that kind of moment. And it can't be missed. We have to realize what we're dealing with and stick to the positivity. And that's moment to moment. Slap yourself upside the face or massage yourself lightly and say, no, not going to go there. I'm not going to let the darkness take me over. If every single person did it, we would all be elevated. Like the ladder, the angels were wrestling. So, as the year comes to us, hopefully we are sealed. We need to ask God and plead and pray. Will it be filled with light and blessing? Or is it going to be filled with something else? Give us the courage and the strength to let it be known that it's up to us and we get it. And so that our vessel will be able to receive the light and the blessing. So even though it's Shabbat and we don't sing Avinu Malkeinu, may Avinu Malkeinu, our ultimate parent, our sovereign, choose to bless us and grant good life and let us be worthy to receive it. May we merit the destiny that we will be able to manifest, and may it be magnificent and full of divine majesty. If you're fasting, may it move swiftly toward our dinners tonight. And may that the abundance that we share as a community, as a collective humanity, and especially right now with our prayers at this time, let this be a sample with all the beautiful music and everything that we've experienced of the great times that are possible ahead when we fill them with generosity, love, prosperity for the purpose of sharing, and giving with open hands and hearts of our entire being. And then our vessel will be healed, and then we will be filled with light, and be the light unto the nations that we are meant to be. Where you go, we will go. Where you stay, we will stay. When you move, we will move. We will follow you. Who you love, we will try to love, even if it's our own selves. And how you serve, we will step up to the plate and also serve. If this life we lose, we will follow you. Gemar Chatima Tova, may we all be sealed for blessing. Good Yom Tov.